Mr. Pickett, sir, you are charged with the misdemeanor offense of assaulting a family member.
Your Honor, there's going to be another ADA taking over for this temporarily.
Okay.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm going to be here. All right. All right. Yep. All right. On November 23rd, an officer was dispatched at 5:15 hours to a assault that just occurred at 1520 Texas Avenue, number 15 in Houston.
Ms. Ortiz.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Going.
Hear me better? I met with the complainant at this location. Upon arrival, the officer observed that the complainant, Ms. Megan Pickett, was being medically evaluated by an ambulance. It was determined that the complainant needed 3 stitches to close a laceration in her head. Ms. Pickett refused medical attention. Once EMT workers finished cleaning her wound, they left, and the officer then approached the complainant to gather information. Ms. Pickett at this time refused to tell the officer what had happened to her and what caused her injuries. Officer then proceeded to speak with the caller, Ms. Carly Jo Mujica, who was at the hotel's front desk, who was the hotel desk's front clerk. Was the clerk at the front desk at the time of the incident, and also the complainant's outcry witness. Ms. Mujica stated to police that at approximately 4:30 hours, the complainant came down to the lobby crying and fearful with clothing in her hand, telling her to get the valet so that she could get her car and go home. Ms. Mujica saw the laceration in her head and asked her what had happened. Ms. Mujica stated that the complainant told her that her husband, Mr. Logan Pickett, and her were having an argument and that he pushed her and she hit her head with on the wall corners in the room. Ms. Mujica also stated that the complainant stated to her that the mark in her face was from her husband pushing her. The officers then proceeded to head to the room where the complainant and her husband were staying. Officer met with the defendant, Logan Pickett, who stated that he and his wife were down in Houston having dinner with friends and attended a Minute Maid golf event. The defendant then stated that he had nothing more to say. The officer then proceeded to call intake where charges were taken.
All right, Mr. Pickett, there is probable cause for your arrest in this case. It's going to be assigned to County Court number 4. The judge of that court is Shannon Baldwin. Do you plan to request a court-appointed lawyer to represent you in this case?
No, ma'am.
You plan to hire an attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like the assistance of the Public Defender's Office during this bond hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Huntermer, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Pickett is 38 years old. He is a lifelong resident of the Liberty area. He has served the state of Texas in the last 9 years and the community of Liberty County as an attorney. He has raised his family, aged 3 children, aged at 12, 7, and 6 in the Liberty area. He does have transportation to court. We are requesting a $500 personal bond for Mr. Pickett. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Huntermer. Ms. Ortiz?
Yes, Your Honor. We're going to go ahead and ask for a $2,000 bond, and we're going to so $2,000 bond.
Does the state have a position on a pretrial release bond for Mr. Pickett?
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and oppose it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ortiz. All right, anytime a person who is sworn to uphold the law is accused of breaking the law, it does give this court pause. However, recognizing that Mr. Pickett has no prior criminal history, has significant ties to his community, if not specifically the Harris County area, he has significant ties to the community. This court believes that Mr. Pickett poses absolutely no flight risk from these charges. And so I am going to set the bond in Mr. Pickett's case in the amount of $1,000. And I will approve you, Mr. Pickett, for a pretrial release bond in this case. Now, on a pretrial release bond, I don't really have to tell you these things. You know that you are expected to be on time to your scheduled court dates. You will be prohibited from using any recreational drugs because you will be subjected to testing. And you are not to engage in any criminal activity while the case is pending. Now, Ms. Ortiz, I have here a protective order. Was this actually requested by the complaining witness, or is this an order that the state is requesting on her behalf?
I believe. Yeah, so it seems that the prosecutor, we are requesting this. Oh,
all right, in that case, since it was not actually requested by the complaining witness in this case, Mr. Pickett, I'm going to make it a condition of the pretrial release bond that you have no threatening, violent, or harassing contact with Mrs. Megan Pickett. I'm also going to issue an order suspending Mr. Pickett's CHL while the case is pending. Now, Mr. Pickett, sir, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. You may return to your seat at this time.